Hey everyone, welcome back. And get ready. It's coming. The first ever episode of the CONNECTNEO Show, a CONNECTNEO podcast, and the first ever unofficial, official CONNECTNEO Show Christmas Special with in-studio guest Rockthattruth17 and yours truly, CONNECTNEO, this Christmas at nighttime for a long time. So make yourself a cup of hot chocolate, get a comfy blanket, and get cozy because it's going to be a long one. And join us this Christmas for a CONNECTNEO Show and a CONNECTNEO Show Christmas Special. Christmas night at 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Well, welcome back, everyone. It's been a minute, but who cares? I've been up to stuff, and you're about to find out what I've been up to. Don't worry. You're going to know soon enough. But for right now, I want to focus on the fact that I've got someone really awesome in studio. We're doing a podcast today with a guest. And I guess because I've got jingle bells playing in the background, and we're so close to Christmas, I guess this is my first official CONNECTNEO Christmas special. So, Merry Christmas, everyone, and let's go. So, yes, that's right. I have a guest. I'm joined in studio today with my first official guest of the first official CONNECTNEO Show podcast. Welcome to the studio today, Rockthattruth17.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this. This is so fun.
Welcome in. Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute. It's been a while in the making. As you can see, there's we had to create the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
You have to do the whole set building thing. That's the way I like to do it. For me, that's sort of what's fun about it. Is this is my version of construction. Mm-hmm. So I'm sort of like I said, or you guys may have noticed, I'm sort of a lot of things, creative, and good. I'm buildy. I can build things.
Mm-hmm. I know. Look at this. This is awesome.
I mean, it's not a deck. It's not an addition to the house or anything like that.
It's so fun and creativity and inspiration.
I'm not pouring concrete, but at least I can put up fake brickwork and make things look twinkly on camera.
It's really fun. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it looks great. It's fabulous over there. Yeah, so welcome to the new idea, everyone. You've heard me sort of mention, if you pay attention to my content, that there comes a time when we sort of have to progress into the solution. It's time to sort of move forward and just do more. And so, this has been in the making, me scaling this situation so that I can get more value out to my audience, so that, I can bring in people who think more, than I about topics, people who have valuable information to share.
I like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think we all have so much to share right now. I think we're all going through our own personal awakenings. People are sort of, as they clear out their trauma and their past karma and all that stuff, are gaining access to these incredible aspects of who they are. Yeah,
and they want to share it with others.
I think that's true, actually. Mm-hmm. As I've gone through and come into my own power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I think it can help someone, I really want to share it.
Yeah, and you started a podcast to do that.
Or whatever. You need to know this, kind of.
Mm-hmm. We want to get it out for our brothers and sisters.
Kind of. We want to put the word, or put the vibe out, put the word out.
It's how we express what we're going through. Like, that's what's so cool about like social media is like we have this outlet to express what we're going through and share our experiences and our aha moments.
Experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah, because when you get an aha moment, it's like, oh my gosh, I just figured that out. And it's nice to like kind of share it because it might trigger something in somebody else.
Well, we always hope for that, that awakening that it might inspire in someone else. And then like they actually, it's inductive reasoning, right? And so they're like, oh yeah. And also like you can ... Like they expand it, right? So they inductively surmise like, well, in addition to, and that's really, and then just to sort of know that you're not alone, right? Yeah. Like just to sort of like, oh, that happened to you too, or oh my gosh, like that made it all so clear to me now, or so yeah, the unlocks, right? We want to try and help people or be part of that whole sort of unlock journey.
This is our ascension. This is our time. We're all recalibrating and going through it together. So it's just nice when you have somebody you can relate to, because a lot of us feel really alone right now. Right? Like some people are not even. We got to give a shout out
to all our Twitter friends out there. Like, yep, we're here with you. Yeah, definitely. And remember back in 2020, did you have more you wanted to say?
Nope.
Okay. Back in 2020 and 2021, when we felt alone, when we were hearing about all those containers coming over, filled with weapons, and we were looking over our shoulder, like looking out for Somali pirates, with motorcycles and bazookas, basically, is kind of how I saw it in my head. I don't know how you saw it in yours.
Yeah. Well, I was more like, where are the green lizard people? Like, when are they coming out of the middle of the earth?
And then there's that. Yeah. Who's that guy? Who's that guy that told us Donald Marshall?
Donald Marshall. Oh, my God. Oh, his stuff was so deep. Oh, my gosh.
Like when we all stumbled across those Donald Marshall videos, like back in 2021, it was just, it was a dark time. It was a deep, dark place.
The reptilians and all the dumbs and all the child sex trafficking and what's really happening here. Like
underneath our feet.
Yeah. And there's people that are going through that right now. Like that are just now awakening to these pieces of the puzzle.
That's exactly, yes. That's the, or, kind of where we are, which is like, we've known all this for a while. Some of us have always known it and are anchoring it and are sort of have been at it for a while and are sort of battle weary or, just hardened. Like for one thing, we kind of have to overcome how stupid everything is on a regular basis. We have to sort of live with knowing where we're going and knowing that we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, we have faith in the unknown.
We have to practice the faith in the unknown, which is practice.
We know that there's a God frequency, and like, as you recalibrate, we're tapping into that. It's like a current. And there's a lot of us now that are really tapping into that. And when things happen, like the drone wars or whatever's happening in New Jersey, it doesn't really matter, Like it's all just kind of going to fall into place. Like there's no fear at all.
Well, anchoring, right?
Yeah.
And just sort of, and what you arrive upon is just sort of the knowingness of that it's us. Okay. They're constantly sort of buzzing about like, the mosquitoes that they are, trying to sort of suck things off of us. And the louder they get and the more sort of distracting they become, it's just because, they want something from us. And so,
what do they want?
Well, I'm starting a podcast, I'm having people come by, like it's all happening in person. So that there's just more sort of to offer, more value to my audience. So thank you so much for agreeing to be my guinea pig.
It's an honor.
Well,
this is awesome.
Word. And thank you for everything you've done to help promote my content. It's unreal how much help you've been.
I love that we're all cross sharing.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Because we like going back to your point, like we're all here for each other. And you can really see that like on Twitter or X and a lot of these social media platforms that we're all doing it and sharing. And I like what you said about getting people here in person. I think that's super fun and cool. It
Well, that's
brings us
like your
together.
boy was saying on that show we watched. What's his name?
Rick
Jewers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Jewers.
Yeah.
That people who have gotten good at anchoring frequencies, people
Yeah.
who understand what their heart frequency feels like.
Yeah. The current.
Right. Those
Mm-hmm.
folk need to sort of, and this is a suggestion, sort of anchor a shared ideal of, ethical legitimacy, sort of encouraging us to sort of have real value to each other, and to be sort of more valuable in general, which goes to a lot of the self-worth issues that people, I think, struggle with regularly, which is another reason to have a podcast about getting your power back.
Yeah. Healing.
Yeah.
I agree. And just to like add to that, like when two or more come together,
Right.
especially when two or more that have the divine God current running through them, like they can kind of see what's happening and are not judging people, or you know
And
what
these-
I mean?
and
Like
so-
we need to come together.
And there's a lot of what's intended in these conversation that is in the solution, right? So one of the promises I made a while back to my audience is to be more in the solution.
Yeah.
The first part of this was about awareness. Like, y'all, it's trauma. Like, the whole game is rigged with trauma. Like, that's what the false matrix is about. That's what the trauma matrix is about. That's why people get scared all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Everything's done to scare people. Like a Rob Blagojevich or whatever is Blagojevich. I don't know. He's Serbian. Was on the Joe Rogan show, and he got thrown in jail for 8 years for doing
Yeah.
nothing because he pissed off the wrong politician, and that was all done to scare us.
That was a fear tactic.
Fear
Yeah.
tactic, right? Blagojevich. But when you're not afraid anymore, when you're not agreeable to that stuff, when you have your personal power and your authority back, and you become formidable, and you start sort of anchoring the frequency that you want, then the world starts to change, which is kind of what's going on right now.
It is. That's what's happening, and that's what's so cool about all of us finding each other.
Although it does make me wonder about whether or not we're a constitutional republic or a democracy.
Right. Like, and then like today the bill got killed, which is great news.
Kinda.
We want a government shutdown because
I
we got to
know.
go out. Like the old has to go away because it's all been fake and it's all been a false phantom.
Well, I mean, it's a
democracy or
corporation. Like
Yeah.
like basically
Corpse.
all of everything in the Constitution so the laws have all been underwritten by legality.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of false grammar that is basically legalese, which is based on admiralty law, right? Which is the false grammar stuff.
Yeah. Maritime law.
Yeah, maritime law. And there's a lot of legalese that's underwritten the Constitution. So it's like a yeah, but for every aspect of the Constitution. Like,
Yeah.
or, all the amendments to the Constitution. Like, you deserve free speech, but unless... Right, they find ways to carve into it with all these legalities.
Loopholes everywhere.
Well, yeah, and that's how social media. It's not censoring your right to free speech; it's monitoring misinformation. Like that's how that's an example, right? And I think going back to the budget, like there was a big chunk of money set aside to a company that just specializes in like censoring us. And Elon, he was the reason why.
He exposed that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why he's trying to get everybody to come over to X, like all the normies
Right.
that are awakening to this side of the government that they didn't know where their tax dollars are going to. he's exposing where all y'all's tax dollars are going. Like, he's showing, like, he's every day he's dropping like tweets with, money's going over here, money's going over here. And the normal news is not doing that. So there is a huge push to get people, like, we are the news now, like getting people over to X to share, because they're just clueless. They don't know. And
he's really doing it for their own good. I mean, you think he's just doing it to grow his company, but
I think he's living at Mar-a-Lago, by the way, because he doesn't have a house. He like sold everything and downsized. I think that's why he's always with Trump.
Well, I mean, who the hell knows who he actually is anyway? I mean, he's Elon 2.0.
2.0.
I mean, what does that mean? Like, everybody's just like, I don't know. I mean, he's Elon 2.0. Like, but yeah, that means like he's not the same guy.
Yeah, Yeah, and there's like 4 Trumps.
He's a plant. It means he's from Central Casting. That's what it means. Like, he's playing a part. And now they want to make him or Vivek Ramaswamy Speaker of the House, which I think is just a stunt.
Yeah.
It's a stunt.
Yeah, lots of like little things, big things happening. Lots of psyops, good and bad.
Well, and all the psyops are always, always, always focus groups, and they're always an opportunity to get back into your body. They're always an opportunity to remind yourself by looking out your window that everything's cool.
Everything is okay. It's all good.
And that you're the one basically anchoring that frequency, that you are the sort of world changer in this situation. You're the one that they're coming for. That was my stomach growling, by the way. You're the one that they're coming for. You're the one that they're harvesting the loosh from. You're the one that they're trying to keep in a state like it's like the scene from The Matrix where everybody's just like these little Duracell batteries.
Yeah. Yep. And you're not just 1 in 8 billion, like you always say. Like, you really do matter. Like, every person that awakens, like, you matter.
Yeah, I mean, you lift up that timeline. Mm-hmm. You lift up that timeline, and then your gifts get entered in. Like, once you're better, like once you've gotten better, like, then you get to be you. And that's who we're really waiting for, is you. Because once you come to the table with what you know how to do, like, that's why, again, the impetus for this show, bring it to the table. Let us know what you know how to do. I'm a facilitator. Like, that's why I have always sort of not been good at being the star of the show. Even when I was the star of my own show. I was just sort of like, nah.
You want to share.
Basically, I'm more interested in what other people have to say. I've always learned from others.
Yeah.
So many people had so much to do with helping me correct myself. Like my AA sponsors. I bring them up all the time.
Yeah.
So helpful. Connection is the opposite of addiction, right? Yeah. Connection. That guy that did that TED Talk that proved that, basically that, in fact, connection is the opposite of addiction. And that when people are connected, their need for drugs goes away.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than, like, connecting with people. Like,
that's what we all long for.
Well, materialism's total bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, they try to trick us into, like, being so materialistic to fill that void.
Which,
how about that?
all you need, like, money's fake. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Like, so the experiment was basically they put these mice or rats. I think mice. I'll say mice. It sounds better than rats. And they put them in this. They enclosed them, isolated them, and left cocaine in their little rat jail cells.
Yeah.
And as long as they were isolated, they would hit the cocaine water. But once they opened it up and made it a community where they could all just play together, they didn't touch the cocaine water. They left it alone. Yeah, I mean, they were like...
Oh my gosh, that's a cool experiment.
Yeah. And so, basically, if connection, if you have connection, You don't need that stuff. Like human connection is like the cure-all, and it's free.
Yeah. And it only really takes having one real person in your life.
It does.
Just one person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have a bunch of friends. You don't need to have all that. Like that's another like FOMO thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just taking your energy and just scattering it to the four winds.
Yeah, and creating so many damn timelines.
On purpose.
Yeah, and then you're spread out. And then you have nothing left for you.
Right.
Gosh.
Or you don't have time to connect to God. You don't have time to connect to nature. You don't have time to really can contact your power, your true potential, like your superhuman nature.
Yeah. Yep.
And so instead what you are is you're on the wheel and you're fomenting stress and panic and worry and just, envy. Like keeping up with the Joneses is so important.
That's what I was going to say. Keeping up with the Joneses and what's the latest and the greatest.
Fomenting all that.
Yeah, we don't need all that's going away. Don't you feel it? Like it's already like leaving our like realm.
Yeah.
It's so
I think
cool.
so.
Like even with this year with Christmas, it's like I have so much less stress because I'm just like, you don't need to buy presents for everybody. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I've been too busy like trying to get a podcast. Like, let me just let you guys know the pay scale for a self-published. This is what I worked this out in my head for my parents. Like, look, being a self-published podcaster does not pay very well. Sorry, you're only getting Christmas cards this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You're doing a lot for consciousness.
Yeah,
if they only knew.
If they only knew.
Right?
My own parents don't even watch my show. Like,
so, like, when they realize that, it's going to be really nice.
Well, I mean, that's why I need to get guests. That's for sure. I need help putting the word out. I definitely need to tap into some new audiences. That's for sure.
I just think it's so cool what you're doing because just the normal individual person has so much to give as they, like, recalibrate. And like what's their story and what's happening, and it's not about all these big famous people like Joe Rogan and SG.
Well, I mean, that begs the question: like, are any of those accounts not CIA anyway?
Right. We don't know. Like they might be. Like.
Well, yeah. I mean, these people were like 3 years ago. Were making fun of us across the board. Joe Rogan was making fun of us. Candace Owens was making fun of us.
Tucker?
Russell Brand was like, not sure if it was good for you or not. Like, I'm not sure if the quack seed is actually good for you or not. I'm going to have it decided. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Like, I'll tell you this. In 2019, I knew. Like, I knew before they even... Like you could see them rolling out the plan. You knew they had to pre-pave. Yeah. You knew they had to do the predictive programming. And once they started talking about people dropping dead in China, I was like, here we go.
They did a huge fear tactic.
Here we go.
China.
Like now they're going to try and convince us all that we have to take a...
Oh my gosh. It's like when you reflect back and you think about like, I knew that was coming down the pipe before it actually happened in 2020.
2019, I saw it coming.
That's pretty like tapped in.
Well, I expected the whole wide world to be like, are you kidding me? Like, fuck off.
Me too. I was the same way. I was like listening to Dale Big Tree with the high wire and everything was planned out. Like he had it so laid out. And then when it happened
you could see it. You could see it. Like, how could you not see it? And then, when I just started being outspoken about it, like on Facebook, when I was still on that nerd platform.
Same. I got off. It was so nice.
And all my, friends who apparently are way more captured than I ever thought. Like, that was a wake-up call. Like, it just why I always felt so out of place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like, oh, no wonder.
We were hanging out in the wrong, areas. The wrong corners.
Yeah.
Like when I got rid of Facebook, it was like, whew, that's nice.
Well, I understood the term frenemy implicitly after that. And so when it was like, you guys aren't falling for this, are you? And my friends were like, well, I've got to go to Vegas, man. All my conferences are in Vegas. I've got to be able to fly. It's just going to get that J&J and go through with it. Like, all right, well, okay. And it was like, whoa, Whoa.
I know.
And Tucker was like, I'm not sure. Like the CDC says this and the CDC says that. And
Yeah, he was being so wishy-washy.
Joe Rogan was
Yeah.
just sort of like, I'm not doing it myself. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't.
Right.
He was like, I'm taking ivermectin personally. Not what he could have said, which is, I work with the CIA, and the CIA basically told me that this is all a hoax.
My handlers.
My handlers let me know. Because or any big account, like
How do they get such a huge following so fast? There's no way. There's no way.
Sorry, you just came through on the headset. I'm turning it down. Well, basically, it's if you have sway, if you have the ability to get, let's just say over 1 million people to do what you say, like Joe Rogan's got 10 or 12 or 20 or something. Russell Brand's up there with 10 million, people that sort of care.
Yeah.
Candace is the same. Like her podcast is blowing up. The Candace Owens Show. Millions.
And I never watch it ever.
Millions of people. And it, not Shania Twain, Taylor Swift. They have control over a lot of people. And if you have control over people, like the U.S. government is going to co-opt that control by getting you on some blackmail bullshit, or they're going to destroy you, or they're never going to let it happen in the first place.
Yeah, or they shadow ban you
ban your
censor
ass.
you and don't let you have any followers.
Or you have a bunch of followers like Ralph Smart and no one sees any of your videos.
Yeah, because you're shadow banned.
He's got almost 3 million people, and his videos get 1,000 views. And it's because of the subject matter. It's because of the subject matter. I mean, Christopher Watucky has over 500,000 subscribers, and some of his videos only get 200 or 300 views. And it's because of truly self-empowering content that truly has the power to set you free and put you down the path of realizing your own power.
Yeah, they don't want that out.
It scares them.
Yeah.
They're scared of it.
And then if you are getting it out, then you're controlled.
Then you're either co-opted and blackmailed or you're destroyed.
Oh, and I have one example for that. So like Joe Rogan, he has all these people come on, and Ashton Forbes was going to go on there, and he's the guy who's like exposing the MH370
Malaysia flight
that went missing 10 years ago, and the orbs drones, that plasma that formed around the flight, and it disappears, right? It like went through a wormhole.
So Joe Rogan
was going to have him on
Ashton Forbes
and decided last second and canceled it. And Ashton Forbes, like if you go on his Twitter, you'll see he's like, why won't he have me on? But it's like, we kind of know, like his handlers are like, nope, we can't talk about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so if you have sway, they're not going to let you out of their sight. If you can actually summon an army, they're not going to let you out of their sight. And so when we consider the Candace Owenses and the like the fact that they're giving all of them credit for saving free speech. Whew.
I know. Elon Musk buying
They didn't even poke their heads up until it was cool to do so.
Yeah.
Like, let me ask, do you think Tucker ever used the phrase insurrection? Like back when it happened, was he calling it an insurrection? Did Candace ever call it? Like they were acting like, Russell Brand, was it an insurrection? I don't know. Like, how can you not know, Russell?
I don't know.
Why are you pretending like you don't know? You know, like that's, or do you not know because you're British? Like, that's our house. That's the U.S. Capitol building. Like we can go in there anytime we want.
Yeah.
That's what our taxes are paying for, right?
They really staged that. Like they took over. Like they really.
What do you mean they staged that? Put the mic closer.
Like
to your
they
mouth, please.
really wanted to like install fear through that whole tactic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right when people were starting to like kind of find their voice and showed up in DC, like,
Because Trump told him to.
right, and stand up for what you believe in.
That's
People
the way
should.
it's supposed to go down.
Yeah.
Like the American
And
people
then-
were protesting. That's like
Yeah.
the big thing was as soon as we hit the street, it's over. And we hit the street and the FBI shows up and
Yeah.
starts checking people's bank records. I was going to go,
I was too.
but I had a little angel be like, don't go.
Don't go. But we do so much more here, just anchoring in the timeline.
It wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right thing to do because they basically put they had fish in a barrel. And you're not doing anybody any good rotting in prison. And I'm a little surprised at how long the newly elected commander-in-chief has allowed that to happen. And commander-in-chief, I mean, I use that term loosely. I mean, because going back to the original question of whether or not we're ever going to become a constitutional republic or if we're just going to be a corporation. Like right now,
Right.
he's president-elect of the United States corporation. Correct? Like
Right.
last time I checked, Elon Musk is still calling us a democracy. Like we still have to save our what?
Yeah.
We still have to save our democracy?
And same with RFK. Yeah. Why are we using that word?
It needs to go away. It's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. It needs to go away.
It definitely needs to go away. And I think they need to be called out for using that word.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah. Good job. I like it. Stop using that word.
Because we don't want equality. We want personal freedom and personal liberty. Like we don't want democracy. A democratic society is majority rule. If the 51% get to tell the 49% what to do in a democracy, in a constitutional republic, it's a meritocracy. So what you do, who you are, personal liberty, personal sovereignty, freedom. And a lot of people would not last long in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why, I've said for a while that the Letter 17 movement is all about personal accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
And you can't have that until you get out of victim mentality. And you can't get out of victim mentality till you heal all your damage
Yeah. All the trauma.
that was done to you for the most part.
Yep.
Although once enough of it's been done to you, you will start doing it to yourself. It's a learned program. Self-sabotage is an outgrowth of being messed with, being harmed at every level, forever, multi-generational.
It's very deep because when all of us are being traumatized, and say you're not being traumatized because you have the perfect life or whatever, when your brothers and sisters are being hurt like that, it affects you because we really are all connected.
Well, what is more important, right? How a society treats their most vulnerable is the true measure of that society. So what does that say about you if you're going to let people die?
Yeah.
I mean, what does it say about the world we live in when our most powerful attribute, compassion is what sets us aside in the universe. Compassion is why the aliens want to hang out with us, because we're compassionate. And so these monsters, these ghouls that have convinced us that compassion is weak, these demonic entities, these demonic sort of energies that have convinced us that our most powerful attribute is actually a source of weakness. We've become so inverted, we've become so alienated from ourselves that we think it's acceptable.
And it's a gift.
To be compassionate,
Yeah.
and to let someone die needlessly is unforgivable. Just one body, just one person, just one person is far too many if it could be stopped. If you can do something, if you can do something about it, one person is way too many. So, compassion is a source of power. But that's sort of a delicate area. I mean, if you're people pleasing all the time and you're, draining your own power and you think that people pleasing is a form of compassion, like you're kind of fucking yourself over until you realize, like, sometimes compassion is being like, nah, dude, you're nuts. And I'm not lifting a finger to help you until you like get out of my face. I can't help you from here because you're scaring me. Like, I'll write you a check, but go home.
Get away. So it's like a program. People pleasing is another program that we have to remove. And the way we do that is working through our traumas, which kind of goes back to the solution, like having a solution. And what you were saying earlier, like this podcast is like a solution. There's great information about how to heal your trauma, how to like get back into you. And as people do that, they want to come share. They want to come on the show, share how they got through, what they needed to, heal and work through.
Well, it's talk therapy. I mean, which is I'm so 70s. I'm so talk therapy. Like, they used to call it group therapy. Mm-hmm. And, they would do skits on Saturday Night Live back in the 70s and 80s, and people were in group. They still do it. The modern Saturday Night Live still do group and like AA meetings, and there's always someone. I won't go into the characters, but group. And language truly does have the power to heal. The word does have the power to set people straight on the spot.
Yeah, it does.
It can recalibrate on the spot. And so we are sort of mining for gold in that sense. We're just, or diamonds or pearls of wisdom or whatever you want to, like, we are trying to have sort of capture magic in a bottle too. I mean, because good things happen on these during conversation. Yeah.
Lots gets like healed, I feel, and just unlocks that happen when you hear a certain saying or phrase or you feel. I think what's happening is we're kind of like more feeling into things now instead of like responding.
Heart-centered, right. So like, you're living out of your heart mind instead of your ego mind.
Yeah. And like even with like the drones and the UAPs and stuff, like, well, let me sit and be quiet and see how I feel about this whole situation instead of like just listening to what someone tells me is going on. And that's like a psyop to get us back into us. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, that is a focus group and a half. Like,
I know, I love that word.
Focus group. I mean, they just want to know like our response. Like, what happens when we tell them this? Like, go look at the thing. What happens when we tell them this? Like, go look at the thing and see. Like, it's that obvious. It's that obvious. Like they are, they like our vitals or whatever. However, it's all being. It can be. The technology is there, measured. People.
Yeah.
Yeah, the technology is so there.
We hear all, see all, know all.
Yeah, it is like so really there.
Everything is monitored.
We are so easily hacked into. We don't even have firewalls. We don't even have firewalls. Most of us don't. I do. I've got my own fucking firewall.
Grow back our auras.
Well, try and penetrate my mind without me knowing it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, more is coming.
The awareness. That ain't me. That's healing. That's what happens when you heal.
That's not my voice.
That ain't me. That is not me.
And that's not my ego either.
Exactly. That is my ego. Like, I hear you, ego. Yeah, that's my dumbass. That's the dumbass, as Christopher Watucky would say.
I heard him say that.
The dumbass and the smartass. His ego and his attitude, I call him the dumbass and the smartass.
I think of the ego as more like the inner child that needs to be parented.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, I think I learned that from you.
I was gonna say, like, I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Feels right. Feels right.
No, it's true. It's absolutely 100% true. Like when I get fussy. Fussy's usually because I'm scared.
Yeah.
If you go all the way down to the very depths of fussiness, it's because I'm a little worried something's not going to go right.
Yep.
And I always make myself into a victim when I want something I haven't figured out how to ask for yet. That's an old one. I don't do that.
That's huge when you realize that.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about that more often, or just bring that around.
Yeah, one of the guys I was in AA with, like, whenever I would just be like, I don't understand, and it just seems to keep on, and he's like, yeah. Well, most times, whenever I find myself turning myself into a victim, it's because I want something.
Whoa.
And I was just like,
That's so deep.
Dang it.
Wow. And guess what? Most people are doing that on the regular.
That is the victim sort of whore. Like the victim whore mentality. almost. Like it's a derangement where you go from being like the victim to basically stealing from people because, you know, they have pity on you. And there's a lot of that going on. I mean, they basically, that's sort of the woke mind virus. That's sort of the sickness.
That is.
Yeah.
Wow. Way to like tie that together. It's just a sickness. It really is. It's a sickness. And we're moving through it, I think, you know, like by people creating spaces where they can share what they've been going through and getting it out.
Well, it's like that girl that did that TikTok that basically is like, I was a straight liberal until 3 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to find out how hardcore I'd been fooled. And being embarrassed is not fun for people. I would say most of this is going on to avoid embarrassment. That's how egotistical we've become. Is embarrassment is like the least desirable state of consciousness there is. I mean, it's guilt, shame, embarrassment. And she's like, and it's embarrassing to admit you've been fooled. But if you want to move forward, you have to. Like when they started trying to kill that guy, it got pretty obvious, and I woke up. And it was embarrassing, and I was just like, that's it. It's embarrassing. And but you got to give them credit for having the courage to face their embarrassment.
Yes.
And we all had to at some point.
Yeah, and that's how we get humbled. Like, we have to be embarrassed to be humbled. Like, I've been so embarrassed about the things I have said over the last 5 years that I'm like, well, I actually love myself more for saying it. It's weird. It's like you wouldn't think it would go that way, but it actually does.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, when you own it, like, it's just like, and I know, you know,
like I thought JFK Jr. was going to come out of Mount Rushmore and like told people that, and it didn't happen, which maybe it did happen, right? We don't know. On
national television.
Maybe he was on top of the mountain.
Like, you don't know.
And that was a really humbling experience for me because I was wrong, and it was okay. It wasn't the end of the world.
Because you're not. That's what right. And so people who's overly identified with being right.
Yeah.
Fear that if they're ever proven wrong, they will die because that is who they are. I'm not trying to learn. I'm right. And if I'm not right and I'm wrong, then I'm not right anymore and I'm dead because that's who I am. I'm right.
Yeah, I have to be right all the time.
That's self-righteousness. Like,
yeah. Whoa.
Being wrong is death. And it's really just ego death.
It is.
It's just ego death. And that's what an overly developed ego does, because an overly developed ego doesn't want to sort of get chipped away at. Like the first time you're like, damn, I was wrong. And then if you follow that up with, and I'm sorry, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like your ego's like, hang on, what's going on here? Yeah. Things are moving too fast. This person is like getting rid of me faster than I can like make excuses for him to keep me around. The ego exists to keep itself alive.
Yeah.
It's and in doing so, a byproduct of that is that you stay alive. And that's kind of the ego's original intent. Like if this thing stays alive, then by proxy, what it's associated with, this other thing will live too. So run now, idiot, run like you're being chased. But an overdeveloped ego can convince you of anything. It can convince you of anything. And when that malleability is sort of understood by people who get human psychiatry and human behavior, it's very easily pointed in whatever direction someone that knows how to be manipulative can point it. And so that's the whole nature of keeping people trapped on the wheel.
Well, and that's probably why they're doing all these psyops, like the bad ones and the good ones, because there's some kind of like mathematical formula to help the ego heal, I believe.
Right.
Like,
yes. And so, I mean, there's that for sure. And that's the personal growth work. That's all these shadow banned channels that we're talking about that are about personal accountability and responsibility. Like that is such an unpopular topic.
Yeah. They don't want people.
That is such an unpopular
Because
topic.
it heals the ego, and like you can't get rid of your ego. That whole psyop of like killing the ego and getting rid of the ego, that's a psyop. That actually hurts you when you think
Yeah,
that
it
way.
makes you reject
to
yourself
be-
again. It's another form of separation.
Yeah, and the more we parent our ego and heal it and have a healthy ego, then we have a healthy human.
Well, you do need to practically sort of apply it at times.
Yeah.
And that's, boundaries.
Healthy boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, that's what personal accountability and responsibility is. Like, and you get that by being able to stop for a minute of thinking about yourself and putting yourself in someone else's shoes,
Yeah.
right? Once you're no longer in fear for your own life, you're no longer in fight or flight all the time, which is a traumatized state, PTSD, which is what the whole wide fucking world is in, state of PTSD. You
And
can't.
if your ego says that you're not, that's the ego talking, because we're all in it.
Well, I'm fine. Your ego says you're not by saying I'm fine.
Yeah.
Which is freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Fine. Yeah. If you're really not, and you're, and this can be the case, then what you say is like, and I hear it, and this is what we're listening for, like stillness, peace, like human connection, like nature, natural, God, like still myself so I can reconnect with nature, and in so doing, see the hand of God. Stuff like that
Feels so good.
is the ego sort of being used in a positive way.
Yeah.
Or listen, compassion, right? I apologize, right, for the way you feel. I apologize for the way what I said made you feel, right? What I said was accurate. Like, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the way you feel. That's more important than me being right. So I'm sorry for the way what I said made you feel, right?
Yeah.
Personal accountability
nice.
and responsibility. Like, well, she has no right to feel that way because I was right. Like, incorrect. Incorrect. Like, you might be right, but how that person feels based on what you said, what you chose to throw into their reality, is your responsibility.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I have a cool example that I think we really are healing. And I say this because the fact that we have borders, right? And we're not allowed to go into other countries without passports and, stipulations or whatever, vaccinations,
Borders.
The fact that Canada might become part of America, that's really cool. That shows, if you think about the macro macro as within, so without, it kind of shows that we are changing.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to have healthy boundaries with one another.
Yeah.
Right? So some of our, like, if we're in a box, we're starting to get pushed out of the box.
Right.
So Canada is going to be, it's going to be open. And then I think Mexico will follow next. And we'll be free to travel.
So
our
healthy
whole planet.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Healthy
that's cool.
boundaries. Like, there's healthy boundaries. Like,
Yes.
we should be closer. Like, this is an unhealthy boundary.
That's so cool.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like, but you're not really sort of in a position to make that call, like, say, Justin Trudeau. You're not really in a position to make that call until you're looking out for yourself and the other sort of equally. Right? Because so much about being unwell is about overcompensating in one way or the other. You're either protecting yourself too much or you're giving too much of yourself away.
Yeah.
And so there's healthy boundaries, keeping your side of the street clean, like rules we can follow as we evaluate, take our own sort of personal inventory regularly. Like, I think I might owe that person an apology, or that person may owe me one.
Yeah, or I owe myself an apology
Aw.
for acting like that. Like,
Well, and guess what? That's where it's
self-sabotaging.
all going, which is self-love. You're 100% right.
I love that. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yep. See, there was an unlock. I owe
Thank
myself
you.
an apology.
Yeah.
Good one.
Thank you for saying that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's an unlock. But bam.
So fun.
So we are a constitutional republic, not a democracy. And so you kind of have to question anyone that tries to say that we are. So, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad Tucker Carlson woke up. I'm glad Candace Owens is now on the right side of history. I'm glad that Joe Rogan is now
coming along,
spilling truth tea. Yeah. It's good to see. I'm not hating.
Yeah. And everybody's getting their awakening.
Everybody's got to go through their own personal awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, you know, Tucker talking about demons, scraping him in his sleep and saying that Jesus saved him and going to AA meetings is a step in the right direction.
I mean, that's huge.
You think?
Hearing AA being talked about more, I think that's really good. Like RFK came here to Charleston and he went to a private AA meeting here in Charleston.
I love that about AA.
Yeah. And people because we all have isms, right? So it's not like anything wrong with you.
Well, that's humility, right? That's right. You got to stay humble. You got to stay right size. That's part of like letting go of needing to be right.
Yeah.
Humility.
The ego. Mm-hmm. Yep. And gosh, those people, like, they have so much spirit in the AA meetings. Like, they have so much spirit.
Yeah, I mean, I
love them.
I call AA a life hack. I mean, I wrote it in my book, which is right here.
It's like a glitch in the matrix.
It's a life hack. Like, the 12-step programs are a life hack. Don't live there forever. Get what you get what you need, get what works for you, and get out and keep moving. But I mean, you want to talk about a recalibration, subjecting yourself to that on the regular.
It's huge.
Just for a minute, year, 2, 3, whatever it takes.
You humble yourself when you go into an AA meeting.
You get so powerful, though. You get so much of your power back when you realize how your fear of embarrassment. Because really, one of the greatest gifts of AA is letting you accept that life gets messy, helping you understand that the illusion of perfection, perfection seeking, is just so unhealthy. And the way that it permeates your actions and your decisions. And like one of my last videos I did, secrets are the problem. It gets you going on these false paths because you want to avoid being embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do? You
change your whole life. You will turn your life on its ear to avoid being embarrassed.
Yep. And you'll drink and you'll do drugs and you'll do opiates and you'll do whatever it takes to just hide from it.
Well, in some cases, what you've done. You're embarrassed by what you've done, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want people to know. Or, you don't take the job because you won't pass the background check, or you don't want people recognizing your face. Oh, like shit. Like, is this going to get played in New Jersey? Like, oh, damn, I can't. Sorry. Sorry. Like, what happened? He just left. Something about New Jersey and not wanting people to see his face and left. Like, that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one way. And that's one of the things that Trump's been doing is every time they try and pin something on him, he's too clean.
Yeah. He exposes the system.
Well, he hasn't done anything wrong. And he's got the money to sort of hire the lawyers and do the lawfare to prove it, to bear it out in court, because most people don't have the money to keep proving it.
Yeah, he really is exposing the system, at
a high level that only someone like him could do.
I believe it's all going to go away.
The system.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
court system and the
that's
judges.
why we're going back to like, is this a democracy or a constitutional republic? Because we're about personal liberty, okay, which means we don't really consent to be governed at all. Like, and that's the way it was. That's the way it was.
Self-sovereign. Like,
that's what self-sovereign means, y'all.
What is it? No victim, no crime, no crime, no victim.
No victim, no crime.
No victim, no crime.
No victim,
we need
no
to
crime.
start talking about like that. We need to put that into the ether because that's such a huge unlock for people.
Right.
To understand or understand, like, oh, okay, we don't need all these like rules and laws and government.
Well, that's why if a Karen or one of these liberal white women that are trying to ruin the world, and that's a meme. That's not a quote from me. That's a meme. If you're a Karen and you're trying to exist in a constitutional republic and you come marching up on somebody.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to wait, because the Karens can't come into a constitutional republic with us.
That's why we're going through all this.
Yeah.
All these psyops. And that's why it's really good to pause, guys, and take some breaks because there's lots of good psyops happening and bad, and it's a lot of energy being siphoned right now and a lot of your attention.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah,
It's the late degrees of Sagittarius. It's the Christmas season, and the Christmas season was dedicated or set aside as the Christmas season because of all of the inherent energy, all the good energy, the love, the Sagittarius vibe. That's why. Because this is when we are sort of culminating annually.
We are giving out so much love energy right now, and that's why we run around and buy gifts for people and share amazing dinners with people and come together. So they just stamped it with a holiday.
Right.
But really, it's you. It's you. It's me.
Yeah.
It's us.
They stamped it with a holiday so that they could put a bunch of expectations on you and basically fragment your most beingness and like scatter you to the four winds. Now of all times, because now is such a good time to actually be getting it right, which is why things are changing, because it's like shit, like this is a very good time to anchor the way. And
maybe that's why we might have a government shutdown starting tonight, which is good because that's the old
I wonder
way.
if the drones will disappear after the government shutdown.
I know, I wonder too. It's like so fun. We have lots of cool things happening right now.
Well, but I'm serious. Like, there's no money to pay for these. Like,
know,
we're going home. Like, the pilots are like,
I'm excited for the.
I don't work for free.
I'm excited for the suppressed technology to all start rolling out. Now that we know there's plasma orbs that can take a airplane.
That is implied.
Put it into another dimension.
That is implied. Like, why are we still paying our utility bills?
Let's go.
Like, that is all implied.
Where is consciousness?
I mean, back when I was following the news more closely, news of a government shutdown would have been cause for jubilee. Now, as I sort of peruse the channels, you know, everyone's just sort of like, man.
But what a great way to close out the old phantom constitution that we
that does get me giddy,
right?
That does
that's
get me
a cool
giddy.
way to think about it.
Yeah, it does.
Duality, right?
Yeah, contrast, excitement management. These are all topics, I guess, for another day because we're running short on time, aren't we?
Yeah.
I know I gotta. You're gonna turn into a pumpkin.
Watch out! I'm already like the color.
She's dressed for it.
This was so fun. I want to come back.
Yeah. Well, we will definitely have you back here soon. This was a blast.
So fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for all the support out there too.
Yeah, so you know, everybody, it's that time of the year. It's Christmas. It's the holiday. It's Christmas, man. Fuck it. It's not the holidays. It's Christmas, and it's a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to have a vision for the future. It's a really good time to know that better things are coming. It's a really good time to be certain about that. And we're all in this together, and things are changing. I mean, shit, man, I'm changing. So if I'm changing, you know, Rock's changing.
I'm here on your show.
Yeah, I mean, things are changing. So make the most of this time, and don't overdo it. Don't be eating chocolate and cheesecake, and
don't be eating sushi.
Yeah, stay away from that parasite infested food.
Don't get more worms. Get more parasites in you.
Gross.
Sorry, guys. I know. I love it too.
And don't judge, because you might be stuck with some people that you don't want to be stuck with right now. And watch this show, and maybe I'll do a live cast at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Just to, but no one will watch
on Christmas.
No one will watch. I know. I haven't got any plans for Christmas, so I might do a live cast.
I know.
A live stream. Put my Santa hat on with the sleigh bells ringing.
Some reindeer ears.
Let me see if I can get the sleigh bells ringing on the outro. All right. Well, yeah, it's been great having you, and we'll see you again real soon. And thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
That's all for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.
you need to start seeking the truth, and the truth will find you. First off, it's a frequency, but every day he's exposing where your money's going.
Well, and this goes back to the fall of materialism, and
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected. Like anyone who went all in on materialism right now is being exposed. Like if your whole life, if you bet on materialism, and materialism is the corporeal realm belongs to guess who? Like who does Earth belong to? So if you bet on Earth, not spirit, which is not Earth, it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah.
Those margin calls are, being made. Like bluffs are being called. Like, let's see your cards. And everybody's cards are being looked at, which is a definite advantage to having a simple life. Like I haven't really been fucking up that much for a long time. Like I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of for a long time.
Yeah, the simple way is the best way.
You don't get in any trouble. And like in America, getting in trouble for a while was considered cool. Like all that bullshit programming that came in 2000, all those terrible shows that just taught people how to be awful.
Yeah, how to be bad boys. Bad
Well, there
girls.
was Jackass, like that was a form of reality TV.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
The Bush administration. Remember the Bush daughters hanging out with Paris Hilton?
Yeah.
And like everybody getting in trouble and going to jail for like being rowdy and drunk as fuck. And like Paris Hilton was peeing on a fire hydrant or something. And they all go to jail, including the president's daughters. And we're all like, it was cool.
Yeah, that was a weird. And then all the reality TV with the housewives and all that came out to like program people to just become even more lost.
Is that what it did? Because I
Yeah.
never watched any of that crap.
Oh yeah, it was just
Like what
so
were they
much
doing? What were the
drama.
housewives up to? Were they like complaining and just like...
Yeah, it's just all drama, like staged drama to convince people that it's real. So then therefore people start acting like that with their
emulating
friends.
like,
Yeah.
oh, a healthy relationship is purely toxic. Like, and
Yeah.
so all these women get programmed with like bad
So,
ideas. And so
yeah,
gossiping and
gossip,
drinking all day
drama,
long and having
fighting,
fake
yeah.
fingernails and fake is like what people want out of life.
Yeah, just trying to create a whole illusion that that's really reality, and it's not. Like, we are so far from that.
And this really, got poured on heavy, I think, in my opinion, with the second Bush or George Bush Jr. administrations. They really poured it on. And then Obama just took it and ran with it.
Yep.
And this is really when the souring of the American ideal took place, because things may have been going on around us that we weren't aware of, but up until, the end of the 80s, Americans were still sort of badasses that were out there dusting it up. Like
Yeah.
if you're Gen X and you grew up, riding your bike with no shoes or socks or helmets or shirts or anything, you just put your shorts on and go out. Half naked kid running around all day, like jumping leaf piles and riding your like.
So close to the earth.
Yeah, we
Drinking
were
out of the water hoses.
Yeah, that's the last generation of sort of roughneck, like tough ass American kids. That's the American ideal.
So they knew that consciousness was going to be expanding.
Would you say that again? You were talking.
They knew that this time was coming,
Right.
where we were going to start kind of like
And so
aligning.
they pinched it off, like
Yeah.
that's when they rolled out
Yeah.
political correctness, 1992. I remember it was the year I graduated from high school, and being PC, they called it PC back then. They even they make it catchy. That's why I'm always like avoidant of these catchy phrases.
YOLO, FOMO.
Yeah, if they try and make it catchy, they want it to get stuck.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And so that's when they did it. And then from then until 2016, whenever Trump came down the escalator.
We had the eclipse shortly after.
Oh, right. The one in
Yeah.
2017 in August. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize the 3 eclipse actually cross over and make an A.
They
for
showed
ascension.
that. Yeah.
Like
wow.
hearing that yesterday, I was like, wow, that is brilliant. Like, and it does something inside of us because the sun is us.
So
that's-
you saw it on a map and it like gave you
it
a
makes like an A.
recalibration?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
A for ascension.
That's
for
cool.
us. Yeah.
It's like looking at a planet. You still get the power from the picture of the planet.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, so they did all that, and now we're recovering. We basically have to get our soul back as a nation. So it was 90 to 2000. It's been 30 years, 25 years, 25 years. And that's how long those indoctrination plans that we watched, right, when we saw like those grainy videotapes from the 80s of the Russian PSYOP specialist that's like, it's a 25-year plan. And, they talk about how in 25 years you can basically you've captured a nation.
You've captured them.
Yeah, that's through the PSYOPs.
Yeah, there's a formula that they know.
Yeah.
And the cabal, they're all in on it.
Yeah.
Like all their puppets.
They're
and
doing
all
the rituals. Like they're
they
doing.
know.
Yeah,
they
they're
know.
going to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
What was that
And
place
here
that
we
Alex
are.
Jones exposed?
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, he snuck in.
He's like, that footage of him at Bohemian Grove is funny. Because he manages to get himself in the frame with like the.
He's so intense.
I love him. He's fun to make fun of. I love people that are really easy targets to make fun of because it just gives my life more meaning.